So what does it really mean, for things to come together? Not just physically, but something deeper, like a real joining. If you're listening, maybe that idea, that whisper of connection, maybe something ancient has sort of caught your attention.
It's a really compelling idea, isn't it? This concept of profound union emerging at the very core of things.
Absolutely. And, well, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't just a quick look. We're really setting the stage here for what could be quite a long exploration.
Yeah, a whole series, potentially.
Right. Today is all about the foundations of yoga. We want to dig down, understand its origins, its core ideas. Think of it like the first step into this huge ancient landscape.
It gives a pretty comprehensive overview, the meaning, the purpose, the spiritual significance of yoga, and it's all rooted really deeply in Indian philosophy.
Got it. So the mission for today, for this deep dive, is pretty clear then. We need to understand where yoga begins, get a handle on its definition, trace those historical roots, and really grasp its fundamental aims. Okay, so let's jump in. What is yoga, really, at its heart?
Well, the word itself, yoga, gives us a huge clue right away.
Okay.
It comes from the Sanskrit root yuj, and yuj basically means to unite or to join.
Okay. Unite or join.
Exactly. So right there, it tells you the core aim is about bringing things together. The text talks about the union of the individual self, the jiva, you could say, like your personal consciousness.
Right, my own spark.
Yeah, that spark, uniting that with the universal consciousness, with Brahman, the vast ocean underneath it all.
So it's like connecting my own little experience to everything, to the whole universe.
That's a big part of it, yes. And it's also about an internal joining.
Internal?
Yeah, bringing your body, your mind, and your spirit together into harmony. It's this sort of multi-layered coming together that really defines yoga from the start.
I see. Okay, so it's definitely not just about doing those impressive-looking poses then.
Not primarily, no. And this is where Patanjali's Yoga Sutras come in. They're absolutely key.
Patanjali.
Right. So in Sutra 1.2, he gives this incredibly precise definition. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. Cessation of the fluctuations of the mind.
How? That sounds like trying to calm a storm inside your head.
It does. That's actually a pretty good way to think about it. But the idea is that real understanding, seeing our true nature, it only really emerges when all that mental chatter, that turbulence, when it quiets down.
So like letting muddy water settle.
Exactly like that. When it settles, you can finally see clearly through it. Achieving that profound mental stillness is, well, central.
Okay, so if that mental storm calms down, what happens? What do we see more clearly?
Well, the text suggests that in that quiet space, we can perceive our actual self. Without the mask of the ego, without all the distractions of the material world pulling at us. It's like a perfectly still lake reflecting the sky.
Okay. When the ripples stop, the reflection is true.
Precisely. So if we manage to quiet these mental waves, these vriddis, who knows what insights might become clear, things normally hidden by all the noise.
That's a really powerful image.
Yeah.
And the text makes it clear yoga is way more than just the physical stuff we often see.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole system. It includes a complete ethical framework for how we live.
Right.
Alongside the physical postures, the asanas.
Yeah.
Then there's pranayama, which is breath control. Think of it like tuning your inner energy.
Okay.
And then deeper practices like meditation, dhyana. The key thing is they're all connected.
Not separate boxes.
Not at all. They all work together to create that unity of mind, body, and spirit.
So where did something this comprehensive
wait.
even come from?
Yeah.
I mean, 5,000 years, that's just mind-bogglingly old.
It really is. The roots go incredibly deep, back to ancient India. We find early references in texts like the Rig Veda.
The Rig Veda.
Yeah.
One of the oldest Hindu scriptures, right?
That's right. So we're talking origins embedded deep within Indian philosophy, spirituality. This isn't some fad, it's ancient wisdom.
Yeah, that definitely puts it in perspective. It's not the latest fitness craze.
Exactly. And within Indian philosophy, yoga is actually one of the 6 main schools of thought, the darshans.
Okay, one of 6.
And what's really interesting is it's close linked to another school called Samkhya.
Samkhya. How do they relate?
Okay, think of it like this. Samkhya provides the theory, the sort of philosophical map of reality.
The what?
Yeah, the what's. It talks about Purusha, that's pure consciousness, the observer within you, and Prakriti, that's the material world, nature, everything that changes. Yoga then gives you the practical methods.
The how.
Exactly. The how to achieve the spiritual liberation that Samkhya describes. So Samkhya is the blueprint, yoga is the toolkit for navigating it.
Okay, that makes sense. Theory and practice.
You got it. And the text really highlights Patanjali's Yoga Sutras as the most authoritative guide for the practical side.
Right, we mentioned those.
Yeah. Now, scholars debate the exact date, but probably compiled somewhere between, say, the 2nd century BCE and the 5th century CE. Still incredibly ancient.
Definitely ancient.
Absolutely. And what Patanjali did was brilliant. He took all these existing threads of yogic ideas and practices and wove them together.
Systematized it.
Exactly. Created a coherent system. And he's the one who really cemented that definition yoga as stopping the mind's fluctuations, stressing that this quiet allows us to realize who we truly are beyond the ego, beyond the changing world.
So the ultimate goal isn't just, touching your toes.
Lightly, not quite the main event, no. The primary aim, as the text explains it, is spiritual liberation.
Liberation, okay.
Known as moksha or sometimes kaivalya. It essentially means freeing the individual self, that purusha, that consciousness, freeing it from its entanglement with the material world, with prakriti.
Entanglement sounds almost negative.
Well, from the yogic view, our mistaken identity, thinking we are just our body, our thoughts, that creates limitation and ultimately suffering.
Right.
The text introduces this concept, avidya. It means ignorance, or maybe better, fundamental misunderstanding.
Avidya.
Ignorance. Yeah. And this avidya is seen as the root cause of getting tangled up. It leads to suffering dukkha and this cycle of birth and death, samsara.
So it's like thinking you are just the car instead of the driver.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. Believing you're just the temporary vehicle leads to the fear and suffering tied to its eventual breakdown. Yoga wants to correct that misidentification.
So we're stuck in this cycle because we don't really get who or what we are.
That's the idea. And yoga offers a systematic way out.
How?
Through cultivating self-awareness, through self-restraint, and developing what's called discriminative discernment.
Okay, discernment.
Yeah, the ability to see clearly, to tell the difference between the temporary stuff, the material world, and the permanent, unchanging consciousness.
And that mental stillness we talked about earlier is key to this.
Absolutely vital. The goal is to quiet those fluctuations so much that you can access a state of pure awareness, samadhi. In that state, the line between you, the individual self, and the universe, it starts to blur, even dissolve.
Wow.
And importantly, this isn't just presented as like an intellectual idea. It's meant to be a direct experience.
Something you feel.
Exactly. A direct, transformative experience leading to deep peace and ultimately that liberation.
That is, a truly profound purpose. It's worlds away from just improving your balance.
It really is. And to help people on this journey, Patanjali laid out a very structured path.
Okay.
A kind of spiritual map with 8 stages or 8 limbs. It's called Ashtanga Yoga.
8 limbs. Ashtanga. I've heard that term, but maybe used differently.
Yes. It's crucial to note this is the original 8-limbed path from the sutras, not necessarily the specific dynamic style of yoga practice, often called Ashtanga today. Same name, slightly different context.
Got it. So 8 limbs. Sounds like a lot to cover.
It's a holistic path, and each limb builds on the one before it.
Like climbing a ladder.
Kind of, yeah. A gradual unfolding. It addresses everything: physical, mental, ethical, spiritual. The first 2 are the yamas and niyamas.
Yamas and niyamas.
Okay, so the yamas are ethical guidelines, how we interact with the world.
Like rules.
More like restraints or principles.
Mm-hmm.
The text lists 5. Ahimsa, nonviolence. Satya, truthfulness. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, often translated as celibacy, but maybe better as right use of energy, and a parigraha, non-possessiveness.
Okay, so it starts with our behavior, our ethics.
Exactly. Can't build inner peace on a foundation of harming others or being dishonest, right?
Makes sense.
And then the niyamas are personal observances, things we cultivate within ourselves.
Like inner rules.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Shacha, purity, cleanliness. Santosha, contentment. Tapas, austerity or self-discipline. Svadhyaya, self-study, study of scriptures. And Ishvara pranadhana, surrender to a higher power.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a foundation. Ethics and personal discipline. What comes next?
Then we get to the parts people might recognize more easily. Asana, the physical postures.
Right, the poses.
Yeah, but their purpose here is to create health, stability, and ease in the body. Really preparing it for sitting still, for deeper work.
Not just for fitness.
Not primarily, no.
Yeah.
Then comes pranayama, breath control techniques.
Okay.
The idea is to regulate and harmonize the life force, the prana, like tuning your body's energy. These first 4 limbs really prepare the ground.
Prepare for what?
For turning inward, The fifth limb is pratyahara,
Pratyahara.
withdrawal of the senses, pulling your attention away from all the external distractions, like drawing your feelers back inside yourself.
Okay, focusing inward.
Exactly. And that leads naturally into the final three limbs, the truly meditative ones. Dharana is concentration, fixing your mind on one point.
Just one thing.
Then Dhyana is meditation, a sustained, unbroken flow of that concentration.
Deeper focus.
Right. And finally, samadhi, that state of absorption, of union we talked about, where the sense of a separate self dissolves. That's the peak.
So it really is a step-by-step path from how you live your life day to day all the way to this profound state of oneness.
Yes, precisely. Each limb supports the next. It's incredibly holistic. The ultimate goal is to move beyond the ego's limits, experience that fundamental unity, and find freedom from suffering and that cycle of rebirth. It's quite a journey.
It really is. This is, well, it's a lot to take in, but incredibly clarifying. It just completely changes how you might think about yoga.
It really does. And, while today it's often seen mostly as physical fitness, understanding these deeper roots, this philosophy, it offers so much for finding, inner peace, self-discovery, connection. Even today, it can really transform the practice, even if you just started for the physical benefits.
It makes you think about that word union again, doesn't it? On so many levels, not just body flexibility, but joining mind and body, maybe joining yourself to something bigger.
Exactly. And maybe, as you go about your day, you could just notice that idea of joining, maybe the joining of your breath and your movement, or your thoughts and your awareness, or even just that feeling of yourself in relation to everything else around you. What happens if you consciously try, even for a moment, to quiet those mental fluctuations?
Yeah, definitely food for thought. And this feels like we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, absolutely. This is just the beginning. We could spend ages exploring each limb, the ethics, the techniques. This foundation today is really just step one.
Well, it's definitely got me thinking, and I hope it has for everyone listening too.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Just consider how that simple intention of joining breath and movement, thoughts and awareness, you and the universe, how might focusing on that fundamentally change how you experience your world?